self-doubt is something that we all have and struggle with. And I guess the only way to combat that is to just try. Because one minute, yeah, you're right, I can't do that. Another minute, it's like, oh wait, I can. And so in that constant pressing the boundaries of doubt, I think we move the ball and end up getting somewhere. When we hit certain cardiovascular levels, our body, our brains release this perfect elixir of serotonin, dopamine, norepinephrine, and it makes us feel really good. And it used to be that happened on a daily basis because people worked to live. Now we don't hit those thresholds anymore. We can go weeks, months. When I want to be my most productive self, I start with what I know I need. And it's different for everybody, right? Some people really need their sleep. Some people really need to manage their stress. Some people need social connectivity. There's look, and a podcast, here we are, but to know yourself and know what really fills your bucket and kind of gives you that energy, and then to do that thing so that you have more time to do some of the other things that maybe don't really fill your bucket or hit the scale.
Welcome to the Pretty Sister Podcast. I'm your host, Callie Stoyer, and welcome, friends. So glad you're here today. Thank you for choosing this afternoon or this evening, wherever you are in your day, to spend some time with me and with one of my favorite people on planet Earth. Actually, I'm really, really excited to share her with you. I shared her with you already a little bit in my book. If you've read Think Pretty, you've and I can't remember what chapter, but you'll get there if you haven't already, to a story where I talk about me trying my first triathlon. And then I talk about my friend who got me through it and coached me through it. And that is who we're talking to today. This is Nicky Knighton. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for inviting me. I hope I can say something interesting. I don't feel very interesting person, but I'll try my best.
It's funny that she said that. And I'm going to just speak to that for just a second, because I find that a lot of us in default might think that. But the reason I do this podcast and I talk to my friends and other women is because I believe everybody has a very interesting story or something to share. And so I'm talking to women and to people to hear that and to then share with each other, and so that we can all learn and grow together, because we all have something special. But you are one of my favorite people on planet Earth. In fact, I'm on vacation in Maine. She lives in Maine. I used to live in Maine. And so I'm here visiting. And we had come and we had blocked this time to go. We were going to go to Boston, or we were going to go to one of the islands. We weren't exactly sure what we were going to do before going to our cabin, but our anniversary is coming up. And so we wanted to do something special, Dave and I. And then when it came time to actually execute on that, everything we looked at, I was like, or we could go see Nicky.
I'm so glad you come to visit me. I love it. It's so fun.
But there's no else I'd rather be than just sitting here having this conversation.
Oh, we love your sunshine. It's fun. Yeah.
And I love that we're now going to get to share this catch-up conversation with all of you, because I want to share a little bit of Nicky with you, and then you can understand why I wanted to come here and hang out with her, because she always brings me joy. So there's actually so many different things that we could talk about that I feel like you would learn from her. And maybe we'll do future podcasts if you'll indulge me, or maybe you'll never do one again.
We'll see. Yeah.
But specifically today, especially because in the book, we talk about the story of you helping me to do that first triathlon, and you were kind of a coach to me back then. Now, and that was, how many years ago was that we did that first triathlon?
It's probably like,
it was probably like
2015. Yeah, maybe 10 years.
10 years ago. I think even
or maybe
sooner.
Yeah, maybe 8 years ago.
Because Bella was born in 2006, and I think she was just maybe 2.
Okay, yeah.
Anyway, it's been a hot minute.
We can't remember.
We're just aging gracefully and forgetting about it all.
It all blends, yeah.
But since then, you've become a coach, like an official coach. And I want to talk about that transformation, that journey and exercise and what it's meant to you. So let's go back to the beginning. And just tell me when you started exercising, and when did you figure out that exercise was important for you specifically?
I think from a younger age, I appreciated exercising. Like I knew it was, it was good for me, and I knew I felt somewhat better. And you know how it is having young kids, it's hard to prioritize that. And so for many years when my kids were younger, I taught aerobics, and that was kind of my excuse to get out, teach. A lot of times where I taught how to gym, so I could put them in the gym, babysitting room, and go teach. So it was more of a good coping mechanism. When I started getting to be closer to 40, I realized, oh boy, that mama bod is coming. Yeah, there's some changing that's about to happen. And I kind of had a conscious effort to step it up. And actually, it was a conversation I think I had with you and Dana had done like a triathlon or something. And it sounded so fun. And I was like, that sounds like a lot of fun.
She did do that first.
Yes.
Before me.
Yes. And you guys were talking about it one time, and I was like, that sounds really cool. I think I want to put this on a bucket list. I might hate it. Only small issues is, number one, I didn't know how to swim. Number two, didn't own a bike. Three, I could run, but I wasn't really a runner at that point. But I'm like, hey, that's what bucket lists are for. Just like step out there. So for my 40th birthday, I signed up for my first like sprint triathlon. And one thing that I noticed from that training for that, first, it was really hard, and I still had a lot of kids at home and busy with that, but I felt so much better, emotionally better. I felt more patient. I felt more organized in my own thoughts. I realized that what it was doing for me mentally was really more important than what it was doing for me physically. It became like a lifestyle change. Just doing that one triathlon, I kept going with it because I felt so much better. And I read this book around that time called Spark by Dr. John Rady.
I remember when you read that book, because you were telling me about it when we were on our runs.
It was life-changing. It made sense to me because I'd experienced kind of this benefit from working out. And then I read the book, and Dr. Rady explains how we've basically engineered our way out of movement. Like we've advanced so far that we can literally wake up as humans now and do nothing all day. We can get in our car, drive to work, sit at our desk all day, go home, sit and watch TV. We don't have to move, but our ancestors, just to survive, had to work. They had to physically work. They had to carry water. They had to cut wood. They have to, hunt, collect berries. They work so hard. We don't, and we survive.
It's part of why the findings with the Mediterranean diet and different pockets of the world where people are thriving and Alzheimer's is not as prevalent and whatnot, are places where there's a lot of hills and they're walking and they're using their bodies just naturally.
The blue zones.
Yes, exactly.
And, Dr. Rady explains kind of the physiology of exercise and movement. And he explains that when we hit certain cardiovascular levels, our brains release this perfect elixir of serotonin, dopamine, norepinephrine, and it makes us feel really good. And it used to be that happened on a daily basis because people worked to live. Now we don't hit those thresholds anymore. We can go weeks, months. And then the rest of his book, each chapter is dedicated to a different psychiatric condition like ADHD or anxiety or depression. And just talks about how now we medicate all those things because we simply don't help ourselves.
Not comfortable.
Yeah, right.
In some way.
And that book really resonated with me, I think, because it explained to me in scientific terms why I felt so much better when I changed my exercise routine. I was exercising before I was teaching aerobics, but when I started hitting probably truly those thresholds, I started feeling better, feeling more organized in my own head, I had more focus. I could get tasks done. I was more patient with my kids. And so I kind of kept going with that because I felt like I was a better person.
Yeah. Well, and then you really kept going because then she's somebody who takes a goal and then just like goes above and beyond and knocks it out of the park, which is always fun to watch. And I think why you inspire me so much. But you went from the triathlons and then got into marathons. And so you really became a runner, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, running was, like I said, I didn't know how to swim when I started. Neither do you, I remember.
I know, I didn't. I had to take some lessons.
Neither of us. I still remember your pink fingernails coming out of the water. But yeah, running just was more adaptive to being a mom at the time. It's like easy to slip out the door in the early morning, get a run in. And I still ride my bike and, but yeah, marathons and running just was a little more simple to keep up with.
And simple, I think, is so relative because but I think you gradually got there. But
Mhm.
for instance, I'm just thinking I know this morning I was kind of joking as I'm texting her and asking her for a ride, and I said it probably, what did I say? Something like, after you run your 8 miles this morning, and
Mhm.
later she responds with like a thumbs up. Yep, done, check, did that.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
quickly getting up
Yeah.
and running a quick 8 miles
Yeah.
before, running off to do the next errand. So, I mean, you definitely incorporated it into your life,
Mhm.
and it's become staple and,
Mhm.
and in a big way,
Mhm.
because not everyone's jumping up and just has to do 8 miles to get your day going.
Mhm. And I think that it's one of those things. It doesn't have to be everyone. It looks different for each person. And the key, I think, is finding what you love. And you might love pickleball. You might love dancing. You might love rowing. There's so many things that have to do with moving your body to love. It's just finding what you enjoy. Because if you enjoy it, you're more likely to do it.
Yeah.
And if you do it, you're more likely to feel good.
Mhm.
And then you're more likely, that positive reinforcement loop starts, and you're more likely to repeat and keep doing it. But it is so important for all of us, and especially as women, when we can be so strung out with so many other things that seem more important, the care of our kids, our jobs, our whatever, our obligations. It seems way more important than taking care of ourselves.
Yeah. So the natural tendency is to put our needs last when we really need to be putting them first.
Yeah. Yeah. Because we can do more if we feel good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I love that then this, if we follow along in your journey, it then led you to going back to school after the age of, dare we
50
say,
something.
can we say after the age of 50?
Yes.
She went back to school and didn't go back to school in some small way. You went to Harvard. And
yeah, it's a certificate program, but yeah, I mean, it was going to school after not being in school since being in my 20s. It's a different world out there.
Yeah, yeah. I remember. I think I'd come in town when you were doing that, and I was wanting to play.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm actually in school at Harvard. It's kind of hard. I haven't been doing this for a long time. I can't play right now.
Yeah. That was. Yeah, very out of the comfort zone, and but glad I did it. I think we all kind of get into our routines, and it's hard to break them. I think the older we get is probably even more important that we do break that. I think we need to build new neural pathways. Although we resist it, I know I resist it, but it's so good to try to keep that mental elasticity and keep progressing as much as we can.
Yeah. So tell our audience what you were studying and what you're now doing with that piece of education.
Yeah, so I mean,
it's just one of the things that you added to your repertoire.
Yeah, so I work, for the last over 20 years, I worked for my husband and I have a business. He's a primary care doctor. We opened up a primary care clinic, and all the years raising the kids, I did the administration, which was a good thing to do being a mom, because I had that flexibility to drop what I was doing, run and get kids, come back. But I was, managing the staff, doing the payroll, doing the claims, billing. We now call it my dungeon job, because it was really not fun and not good. But then after 20 years of doing that, we decided to change our business model to more of a value and prevention model. And that goes from high volume medicine, high volume care down to more quality care. So all of a sudden I'm thinking, wow, we're not going to need me to be working 40 hours a week, filing claims, managing a big staff. We're going to have a smaller staff. And I thought, this is either my exit or this is where I change it up. So I decided to go back to school in two different ways. One is a certificate. It's not a degree from Harvard, but a certificate from Harvard in health coaching, lifestyle, and wellness. And then I also went to a community college to learn phlebotomy. And with those two things, I kind of reinvented my role in the clinic into more of a patient care, doing all of the screenings for my husband's practice, which he does a very in-depth annual wellness exam, which is 3 hours. So I do the first hour and a half, which is gathering all the data, the EKG, the spirometry, the body composition, the ankle brachial index, the body, the ears, eyes, brain check, you name it, drawing the blood for like 22 different labs. And, it's really fun being with the patients, but it's also a good way to get to know people, because then when he makes lifestyle recommendations to them, instead of saying, hey, you need to work on diet and exercise, it's more like you need to work on this or that. And then we've got a coach to help you.
Yes.
And
you have all the data to back up what you're suggesting.
Because I've got it from him.
You have it from him.
Yeah.
And so you can have a lot of ways to measure results.
Yeah. He's looking at the labs. He's looking at the hard data of what this person needs. And so, remind me sometime to tell you about a really fun coaching where this person needed to gain weight. It was the best session ever. I'm like, hey, triple fat yogurt, let's go for that. I'm looking up these peanut butter, triple chunk,
Wow.
Yeah. But so yeah, he gives that raw data that what the goal needs to be scientifically. And then I can help that person and coach that person to try to reach that health marker.
Yeah.
So
I know you've loved it, right?
Yeah.
Because you've loved learning, growing. I know a lot of women get to our stage of life and may not know what to do and have a hard time reinventing yourself, like what you've done. Having the courage to go back to school, that takes a lot of courage. And you've done that. What kind of advice would you say to help people get through that, those changes to do it? Because as I've watched you, I've seen you do it with so much grace and fluidity, just, I think you're a naturally resilient person. I've learned that about you through our friendship. And you've applied that same resiliency and just ability to redirect and change and go with the flow. So a lot of things there. But what advice would you give women who bump up against this? Because we're not the only ones. Yeah, I think believe in yourself. Just believe you can. I know I had a lot of self-doubt too. Just like, oh, I don't know if I can go back to school. I don't know if I can make the time. I still felt like my life is full of other priorities. Just a lot of self-doubt. Can I really do something different? Can I really learn it? You have a full life of kids and grandkids. And
Yeah. So I think self-doubt is something that we all have and struggle with. And I guess the only way to combat that is to just try and realize, I definitely had and have had hard days where I'm like, am I really doing this? Like the phlebotomy, like drawing blood. Oh, just, it's one of those things like I'll be doing great and all of a sudden I'll miss a draw. And I'm like, why did I think I could do this? Like, what am I doing? Like, is this me? Yeah. Like really? So yeah, I think self-doubt is a very real thing. And the only thing we can do is press against it, keep pushing on it and just saying, because one minute, yeah, you're right, I can't do that. Another minute, it's like, oh, wait, I can. And so in that constant pressing the boundaries of doubt, I think we move the ball and end up getting somewhere.
It's that action that you need to just take the step forward. I think so many times in life, we stop because we don't feel like doing it or because it's hard. But really, that's when we just need to keep pushing anyway, because a lot of times we're not going to feel like doing something. Right. But we really can. Yeah, it's true. And those voices that in our head that say you can't or you shouldn't or you're too busy. That's a big voice. Oh, you're too busy. It comes down to really what you really want. And people do with their time what they really want. Yes. Yeah. And speak to us a little bit about time, because you are somebody who's been a real maximizer of time and efficiency, and you get a lot done in the day. A lot done sometimes. In the day. And what would be your hack for that? Because people do not do things. They, I think a natural tendency might be to think, oh, I can't go back to school. I can't possibly find the time for that. And you're a busy person, but you found the time. How are you? What are your thoughts going through your head to help you? I think that, one of the biggest ones is what feeds the energy loop, like what keeps you going, like what things fill your bucket and keeps that motivation up. Like I've learned that a basic need that I have is to exercise, because I do feel more productive. I feel ironically more energy. So I think when I want to, be my most productive self, I start with what I know I need, which is, and it's different for everybody, right? Some people really need their sleep. Some people really need to manage their stress. Some people need social connectivity. There's, yeah. Look, and a podcast, here we are,
but to know yourself and know what really fills your bucket and kind of gives you that energy. And then to do that thing so that you have more time to do some of the other things that maybe don't really fill your bucket or hit the scale. But to take that time and find out what is it that I really need. Some people is eating right. If they don't eat right, they don't feel good. They don't feel good. They don't exercise. They don't exercise. They don't sleep. They don't sleep. They get stressed. There's this whole loop, these pillars of health that we all need to live by, but we also need to know which one comes first. Which one of those pillars comes first.
Honoring the fact that we are all individuals. And I think that's what makes your job of coaching and all the other coaches out there. It's a big field, a growing field, I would say, but necessary because we all are different. And so you need a little bit of help figuring it out, what is motivating you, or at least you could probably be more successful if you have that help and if you have the accountability. Because I know that's a big piece of what we need as for human nature, is somebody to keep us accountable, because our willpower does run out and we're not always motivated. We don't always feel like it. When we're being held accountable to somebody, then we're more likely to be successful.
Oh, for sure. Goals. Yeah. And this is where I love, the principles of your book. Because I think in our relationships as women, we inspire each other. Yes. And, at the beginning, when I said I don't feel very interesting, I don't, but yet I find so many other women very interesting. Like the girlfriends, the sister-in-laws, the aunts in my life. I find them to be so interesting how they operate and what they do and what they prioritize. And they fill my bucket. Like they inspire me. My daughter-in-law, my own daughter, those female relationships, because we are so different. And it does. Well, and as you said that, I'm smiling because I know your daughter and I know your daughter-in-law, and they inspire me too. Yeah. But I probably because I've watched this, especially Bethany grow up, but I've seen what you've surrounded yourself with, are people that are a reflection of you. And that's a beautiful thing to see. Or maybe I'm a reflection of them. Well, I think that's the joy of sisterhood and friendship, is that we help each other to grow and to become better. And hopefully that's what we're doing. Yes. And hopefully you're aware that is what happens when you spend time with people. For sure. And so, yeah, for sure. Like I love your people. Yeah. And, I'm thinking about, even our friendship, like from the beginning to end, we've known each other for a very long time. I'm always inspired by you. I'm always so impressed with all that you're doing. And then I think about other, the women that I run with, every one of them are so amazing. They're fantastic mothers. They're fantastic professionals and wives and active in their communities. And the little bits of wisdom that I glean from them in the time that we spend together, it's so inspiring, and it lifts me. I'm sure it lifts, the interactions lift them, and our need for each other is huge. Yes. And that's why we should be hanging out with our friends. I know. Exercising with our friends, playing with our friends and sisters, because it is so uplifting and truly healthy. I think it's so healthy for us mentally and emotionally and physically. We can improve our health by sticking together. Oh, for sure. As sisters and friends. Yeah. Okay. If you had to just give, now that you've been doing this health coaching for a while, if there were a couple just really good health tips that you see as patterns that repeat itself that you'd want to give our audience, our listeners, to say, here's a couple hacks, or here's a couple things, just do this, trust me. I'm telling everyone, I see this all the time. What would a few things be? I think I just touched on one. One is to know what you like fundamentally you need to operate most efficiently. Is it sleep? Is it managing your stress? Is it eating right? Is it exercise? Is it social connectivity? Is it avoiding, harmful behaviors like smoking, drinking, those kind of things? I mean, kind of identifying what right now of those behaviors, those six, can I do to make myself most efficient? And you said right now, because it changes, doesn't it? It does.
So that's a key point is what is it right now?
Yeah, if you have an infant or young kids, it might be sleep, and there might be nothing you can do about it. So like you just can't get it.
And you need to ask for help.
Yeah.
I know I had to have help when I was going through those years with young kids because I couldn't do it all.
Right. Yeah.
And so, but yet as women, we have a hard time asking for help. But I think I've seen other friends, and I mean, you and I were doing it, helping each other. You know, I can think of times when kids were sick, or someone needed a ride, or you had my kids sleep over, or help is okay and it's needed.
It is, and I think once you kind of figure out what which one of those health pillars that you need to kind of prioritize, so that everything else can fall into place. But take that time and contemplate that. Ask people who are close to you, what do you see when I'm most efficient? What is it that I'm doing? A lot of times we kind of know what it is. So I think that would be my first tip. And then
I like that, asking others, because sometimes we need that feedback because we can't diagnose or see it ourselves. But
just be sure when you ask that you really want to know the answer, because some people will tell you the brutal truth, And then the second thing I think that I passionately believe in is that movement is medicine. It really is. Movement is medicine. And I don't care what kind of movement it is, but I feel I'm convinced that we are designed as humans to move and to hit those cardiovascular thresholds. And I'm convinced that once we do, that serotonin, dopamine, norepinephrine, all those things that we need to feel good are present in our body, and we're self-medicating when we move. I believe it's in some ways the fountain of youth too. I feel like people that I see that find their movement and they do it, they age slower. They manage stress better. They can heal from things better. So I'm pretty passionate about finding what movement you like. And I don't like even to call it necessarily exercise, because that sometimes brings up in people, stress. I don't like that, because it doesn't have to be running. It doesn't have to be biking. It can be, there's so many ways we can move.
And fun ways, like pickleball, that's a new craze. I love pickleball, and that's movement.
Dancing.
Walking is movement. Dancing, yes. I've talked about this before.
Gardening.
Like, I love dancing, and it's movement. And sometimes if I'm tracking on my watch, I can burn so many calories, like with a good dance session.
Yes, and with your girls. And you guys are so darling when you guys dance. But even things like gardening, that's movement. There's fishing. There's so many different things that are movement. Skiing, yes.
No, skiing and water skiing. I love them both. I know you.
And there's dual therapy that can happen with those things too. Being outside is therapy. Hearing the birds, the fresh air. You can do triple therapy, exercise outside with friends.
Yes.
Pickleball outside with friends.
You have that emotional therapy while you're
yes. Oh, for sure. And I guess that's another tip I would give, is that when you find a buddy to do stuff with, you're more likely to do it. There are so many times that I feel like, I can't do this. I can't work out today, or I can't run today. But I'm like, my friends are waiting for me, And in February, when it's 2 degrees in Maine and really cold, it's like, that's what gets me out. It's like, okay, it's not that I really want to go outside right now, but my friends are there. And so if you can find some people, even one person that you can work out with or move with, whatever that movement looks like, that you're more likely to do it, and then get that other therapy, which is social connectivity.
Well, and I think I talked about this in the book, where I shared our experience that we would meet and we would talk, and it felt like a therapy session.
Both ways. Both ways.
We would just say all the things that needed to be said, and then somehow we could go back to work and be okay, or go back to our kids, whatever we were doing. And it just helps to talk. And you still go see your therapist if you're doing that. But know that your girlfriends can serve a really good purpose.
Oh, for sure.
In that way as well.
Oh, for sure.
Because we just want to be heard, understood.
Right.
And when you have a good friend that's a good confidant that you can do that with, it's so helpful.
Yeah. And inspiring to see how they handle challenges. I think it's inspiring to see that other people also have challenges, and
it normalizes your experiences.
Completely, at every stage. It cracks me up, like just thinking about the things that we've talked about through the years, like in the stage where we're like so busy. We couldn't even find time to go to the bathroom. And I remember, talking about how, if I got a free moment, I would like probably hyperventilate, like, what should I do first with my free moment, And now our conversations around adult kids and how do you honor their autonomy and you still care and not saying too much. And, like we changed, we've like gone through all the steps. Like teenage land, we were in that land too.
Yes.
There's just.
And I'm so glad I had a friend to go through it with.
I know.
If you're not going through life with your girlfriends, I don't know what you're doing. You're missing out on something, and you gotta go find your people and be able to go through all the phases and stages of life together. Yeah. Especially, I can say that now that we're older and we've done it. We've raised our kids. We're looking at it from in that rear view mirror perspective. Right. With such appreciation for what we were able to go through together. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And with this deep, lasting friendship that has so many facets to it, we have so many memories. And I think we're also wise enough now to know too that it's not over. There's still more. Yes. Like we're still going through things, and we still will. And it ain't over till it's over. No, nope, it's not. And there's always going to be things, and there's always going to be support that's needed, and there's always going to be friends there to, go through those stages with. And sometimes it's fun to break age ranks too, and to, I look back in my younger years and some older women that at the time I thought were old, and I'm like, oh my gosh, they're the age I am right now, and they, reaching out to me and trying to be my friend. And I'll never forget that when I first moved here, I had no friends. And Dawn Seymour, who was at the time I was 30, and I remember where I was when I found out how old she was, because she was my only friend. She reached out to me. She completely initiated the friendship. And would call me every day. And at first I'm like, why is this old lady calling me? And then we became really good friends. And I felt so ashamed of myself when I realized, first of all, when I realized really how old she was a lot older than I thought she was, but I really liked her. And and she initiated that friendship, and it was to this day, such a treasured relationship. And if she hadn't have reached out to me, I don't think that I wouldn't have been on my radar to be like, I'm going to pick that 73-year-old, who acted like she was 40, with all this wisdom. And I just think, now it's my turn. I need to be that one looking and saying, who's a young mother who might appreciate a friend right now? And she probably doesn't think that she wants to be friends with me. but I've got something to say. Well, times have changed with our technology. And I feel like doing this podcast and having these conversations is one way we can reach and be friends to other people. And we're not seeing you face to face, but we're sharing in this conversation. We're sharing in this wisdom that we're wanting to pass on or offer up as experience to somebody. And it's amazing to me that people all over the world could, tune in and hear this. Yeah. And people are sometimes, I know there's some of you out there that are alone that maybe don't have friends for whatever reason, or situationally aren't able to connect in the ways that we had the blessing of connecting. But you can listen in, and you still can connect with people through technology, which I think is great. It's great. Yeah, it opens up so many more avenues for ourselves. And then I would say be flexible, mentally flexible, and look around and say, that person is not my age, and it looks like they probably have nothing in common with me, but you just never know. Those can be very rich relationships where you're complete yin and yang. Like what you lack, they have. What they have, you lack. And, it's... And you don't know when you may need to draw upon that friendship. And so it's worth the effort to cultivate. It's worth the effort to put in the time. Because sometimes you will show up in Maine and call a friend and you ride. And they're happy to see you. Yeah. And happy to record a podcast. Yes, even that. The things I can do for you. The things you do for me, actually. It's very, very much a give and take relationship. Yeah. So one thing I'm hearing as you're speaking, just through a few ways that you've said it, and it's something that I think is so important, and I'm being reminded of why I love this about you. But you've said several times how you're inspired by other women. This has come up for me a lot recently, especially as I've been out, speaking or promoting my book and talking and answering questions. A topic that continues to come up is this problem of comparison. and women seeing other women, what they're doing, and feeling less than and falling short in comparison to it.
Yeah.
Whether they're seeing photos on social media and all the fun things. And you, by default, are saying you look at other women and you're inspired by them. And that's a message I've been trying to say and I want to get across. It comes naturally to you. Why do you think that is? Or what is it that you're doing in your mind that you're not, you're inspired by women?
Yeah. I mean, in full disclosure, I can't say I've never fallen into that trap.
Sure.
But I think when you start looking at people through a lens of difference, like we don't have to be the same. I don't have to be the same as you. You don't have to be the same as me. I can appreciate what you have, and you can appreciate what I have. All of a sudden, it's not about how we're the same or different. It's more about you bring light to my life and joy to my life in this way or that. And I love that about you. And it's almost like your light shines and reflects off me. My light shines and reflects off you. And together we're brighter and we're happier, and starting to see our relationships more in terms of that is a very powerful, we're always told a superpower is to not care what other people think. And I don't care who you are. I think that's very hard to do. It's very hard to do. It does. It does. It does take maturity. And so maybe it's not so much not caring about what other people think, but just doing your best to think the best about other people, augmenting the good in other people and looking for that and noticing that and trying to kind of minimize the weaknesses. That can make any relationship, a marriage relationship, if you can say, okay, that's your quirk, and I'm just going to try to not look at that. But there's so many great things about you, and we all have quirks and we all have great things, and try to train your eyes to augment the beautiful things and train your eyes to just
overlook the bad. Give grace to that, because we want that. We want people to see and accept the best in us and the best that we can do. For sure. And if we want that, we've got to be giving that to others as well. Yeah, no, very well said. I completely agree. I need that grace too, because I'm quirky and I've got my things, and I appreciate it when people kind of try to augment my goodness and minimize my quirkiness or my weaknesses. But yeah, if we can do that to other people as well, and maybe that's what we end up kind of surrounding ourselves with, is people who kind of give back what we give out. Yeah. Right. If we're giving out grace and acceptance, maybe we tend to surround ourselves with that as well. So, Pretty Sisters, you can do a little inventory about how that is showing up in your life. If you continue to have this problem, look in the mirror maybe. Is the problem you? Like, if you're continually finding that you're, comparing yourself to others or judging others, it's probably more of a reflection, or you think that other people are judging you, that type of thing. It's more of a reflection of how you're judging yourself. Yeah. I guess is what I'm trying to say. And you brought up a good point earlier. With all this technology and social technology it's easier to connect, but I think it's also easier to compare. We can get on Instagram, Facebook, and all of a sudden compare ourselves to all these amazing things other people are doing. And wow, that's so dangerous. I would say that's what I think is probably the biggest thief of joy right now, is if you spend too much time on those mediums comparing yourself. I think, for myself personally, I don't spend a lot of time on them, but when I do, I let myself stay there as long as it's like, oh, I'm so happy to hear and get caught up, and oh my gosh, that's cool. I didn't know that was happening. When I start getting like, my life sucks, I'm not going on vacation, I wish I could go there. It's like, all right, now I've moved into this mental space that's really not good for me to be here. So I think it depends on where we're at when we spend time on social media. Yeah. Well, this segues into, another question I want to ask, as we're getting close to, we'll wrap this up in a little bit, but, when that starts to happen, it's kind of, you're recognizing that's killing the joy. This is not fun. I'm a big proponent of happiness and protecting your happiness and my happiness and be responsible for that. And when you said that, it reminded me that I think you do that also just very well. when you see that you're going down in a spiral, you're like, oh no, I don't want to feel this way. I don't, you recognize it, you cut it off. Or you talked about exercise, like you're doing it because it makes you happy.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And
I feel good.
And you feel good.
Yeah.
So what other tips do you have for that? How are you protecting and maintaining that happiness that we could help others to see? Because you do that so naturally, so well.
Well, thank you. But and that is hard. I think that's a pursuit and a struggle that we all have. But I think number one, and I've heard you say this, we're in charge of our own happiness. It's no one's job, no one's job other than ourselves, our job to be happy. And that comes solely from within. I don't think there's anything outside of us that can make us happy. Not the most perfect marriage, not the most perfect house, not money, not a
chase it.
It's not outside of us. It's something that's truly within. And so I think for me is realizing, number one, it's my responsibility. And when I'm not feeling it, to try to identify, why am I not feeling it? There's a variety of reasons. Maybe I am starting to compare myself, or maybe I'm not taking care of some of my core needs. Maybe spiritually I'm a little off, or getting negative, or this is the biggest one, I think, for us mothers, is trying to control things that we cannot control. And so that's been the latest chapter, right? Is like, I have adult kids. I cannot control a thing about them. And I have to realize that. But
you can influence them. And I know you do.
Yeah.
And that could be a whole other podcast of how to influence and realize you're not in control, though. Yeah, you're not in control. And to say to yourself, I am in charge of being happy and making my life happy. Whether or not they choose that for their lives is really now up to them. I can't make that happen for them anymore. It used to be that you could be like, oh, I can help them find friends, or I can sign them up for this, or maybe if I got a little tutoring for that, or if I, and you felt like you were very much a part of creating their optimal lives and environment. But now it's like, no, all I can do is make my life happy, and for me to be happy, to be a person that they're going to want to be around. If I'm constantly disappointed in them, or constantly mad at them, or constantly, griping because they're spending more time with their in-laws than me, or whatever it is, it's like, that's not attractive. That's not fun. I need to be a happy, fun person for them to want to be around me. So just realizing what we can and cannot control, and stick with what you can control, which is very little. But very empowering. Very empowering. Because you're not surrendering your power in any way, shape, or form to somebody else. Right. And then feeling like a victim, or feeling like you might want to blame somebody for something, because all of those things have such negative emotions that come with it. And so when you just stop playing that game, and you just take back your own power, your control of what you do have control over, very little, like you said, it's only yourself. When you raise a family and you're not in control, it's a change. Okay, and we're gonna sum up with one last question that I want to ask you, and I love asking this because I am such a proponent of dreaming, and I know you've talked about this already. You've reinvented yourself in many ways, and I've seen you pursue many dreams and accomplish them so beautifully. What's on the horizon for you next? I mean, you just did do some big things, but we should always have things, goals, and just dreams in our heart. I think that for the immediate future, I want to keep doing what I'm doing. I like what I'm doing. I do like working. I like having a purpose. So I'm not thinking right now about retirement or anything like that. But I guess when you're talking about dreaming, I just want to have a lot of joy with my family. I want to create my home here to be a place where my grandkids love to come and have fun. But you just finished beautiful renovations, so I guess you're constantly doing that. I want it to be a fun place, and I want them to love coming here. I want to plan fun vacations with them. I just want to enjoy this next phase. I want to enjoy the grandkids. I want to enjoy my kids. I want to enjoy seeing them grow in their lives and their marriage, and just family unity and fun. That's all I really want. Well, and there's so much joy in that. That's such a beautiful dream to have on your heart, because truly relationships, whether it's we're talking about through friendships, your girlfriends or your family, your kids or grandkids.
Yeah.
If you don't have them, it's I would say it's that and your health.
Right.
You don't have those things.
Yes. They're basics.
They're just basic. Don't have the building blocks for a happy life.
Yeah.
And so I guess if one word of advice or just, a thought for anyone listening is if you aren't happy in some way, those are some big things you could take a look at. How, maybe take inventory of the relationships in your life and what can you do yourself to fix, how can you change and improve those relationships? Don't be looking for others and telling them what to do.
You've got all these things wrong with you. You need to fix.
But you could probably take it over and make some changes and shifts and that and what was the other thing? And exercise, movement.
Just take care of your body. Health. Yeah. I always tell my kids, you only get one. You only get one body, and you only really get one life. And so it's up to us to try to live the best lives we can.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love it.
I love it too.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for inviting me.
Thank you, Nikki.
Yeah.
And Pretty Sisters, thank you for joining and listening into the podcast. I'm so happy that you got to meet Nikki. She's such a pretty sister of mine, lifelong friend, and you are too. You are, whether you're new or old to this community and listening in, thanks for being here. You're special. You are worthy of joy and love and all good things. So I hope that you are feeling that way about yourself and your life and that you're in pursuit of those things. And if you like this podcast or if any of this resonated with you or somebody who you're thinking of, do share it with them, because that's how we reach more people and have that ripple effect of helping one another is through sharing in the ways that we can, sharing your light and your influence. So do that. And above all, stay pretty. So we'll see you next week on the Pretty Sister Podcast.